Hey everybody, Marisa here from She Knows Crypto with this week's Crypto News Roundup. So, markets are down. That seems to be the top news every other week or quite often, but it shouldn't get you down. That's, the volatility of the market. I talk about it all the time, but we'll talk a little bit more about the pressure on Bitcoin in particularly in the last piece of news that I'll talk about. But let's get to it. Just got a couple headlines for you this week. The first one is about Norway. Norway's central bank is considering creating a digital currency. So they already have a digital currency because most money is digital. Most fiat money is digital. We don't have a whole lot in coins or paper notes or any of those things. So what they're actually saying is they want to replace their record keeping system with blockchain. Get rid of cash like paper money and coins and put their digital currency on the blockchain, a different type of record-keeping system. And actually, they're mentioning getting rid of the banks, not having banks keep their own centralized database. So the central bank would take the government's fiat currency and create a blockchain with it. Sounds like what they're looking at, but it's a little iffy because if it's called a central bank, which means it's centralized, so they need to control it. And that's not the principle of cryptocurrency or blockchain. The principle is decentralization. So saying that the government's looking to make cryptocurrency, I think we just need a new word. I talk about this a lot too. Like, our terms and our words are very important. We've got a lot of new concepts and they're overlapping with the same terms. So if a government is creating a digital currency, I wouldn't even call it cryptocurrency. It needs a new word. It's fiat on the blockchain, a centralized blockchain. So yeah, that it's good news because that's further legitimizing the blockchain with more and more governments looking to adopt that. But as far as is it cryptocurrency, it's not the spirit of it, in my opinion. In the news today also, or actually all this week, is GDPR. And as it relates to cryptocurrency, I'm dropping in a headline that says since the beginning of 2017, about 1.2 billion US dollars worth of cryptocurrency has been stolen. So what does that have to do with GDPR? You may not even know what GDPR is. You probably saw it in your inbox. If you're an EU person, you definitely have heard of it, but you'll see these massive amounts of email that you're getting to resubscribe to newsletters and email lists, and I'll be sending you one too, and privacy. So basically what it is the EU has decided that they want to create this very strict privacy policy for EU residents, European residents. And why is that bad? It's bad for cybercrime because it's going to make it hard for people to get investigated and to be able to enforce online security. Why? Because all of the bad guys will go to Europe because we can't find their data and we can't figure out who they are. So this is bad for cybercrime, and it's bad for cryptocurrency in general, especially for those who had cryptocurrency stolen. And GDPR is really in direct conflict with the blockchain because GDPR assumes that data is centralized and blockchain is decentralized, as we were just talking about with Norway. So the governments are not getting this decentralization, and that kind of makes sense because they're federal. Their governments are created to centralize power, and blockchain and cryptocurrency is decentralizing that. So a little counterintuitive. But yeah, GDPR has been sucking for all kinds of reasons, and it sucks for cryptocurrency and privacy and trying to get the bad guys in general. So on to the big news, the Bitcoin fall. People get nervous now with the price point of 8,000, and it drops below 8,000 and people feel sick to their stomach. Well, perception is everything. A year ago today, Bitcoin was at $2,250, $2,250 US dollars for one Bitcoin, and everyone was crying bubble and it was overinflated. So if it was 7,000 at this time last year, people would be happy. So it's 7,000-ish this Friday afternoon. And what this article really talks about is it talks about perception and manipulation. I think it's a really great article. If you're getting this in your email, click on it. But we've got to really zoom out and take a look at the Bitcoin price. It's been on a growth curve overall, stunningly, more than any other asset class. It's 330% growth in a year. That's incredible. So while it's not at 20,000 like it was in December, it's not really that worrying. Why was it at 20,000 in December? Because we had a bottleneck of people rushing to buy Bitcoin after Thanksgiving because they heard, they explained it to their grandmother and thought it was amazing, so they had to get some. Coinbase had was boasting 100,000 new users per day at that point. So now, the new norm is right around 8,000-ish. So it's going to roller coaster to that until we hit another new norm. And John McAfee is saying 15,000 a Bitcoin by the end of next month. Why? He didn't exactly say why. He just tweeted it. But I'm thinking the institutional money, as I talked about last week, the institutional money coming in, it also might put some downward pressure on the price for a bit and then back up. So we'll see. Again, I don't like to make predictions, but I do want to highlight what Ronnie Moas had said about market manipulation. And he gave a nice example in this article, giving a $20 billion portfolio. So say I have a $2 billion portfolio, and I want to diversify myself, and I'd like to put 10% in Bitcoin. Well, I don't really want to buy Bitcoin when it's at 20 grand. No, that's a little much. So instead of me taking $200 million and buying it for 20 grand, I'll trickle in some sell orders into the system for 20 million and then 30 million. And that puts some sell pressure on the market, which drives the price down. People start to panic. Oh my gosh, the sell pressure starts bringing down the price, and then I can go in when the price drops, buy the dip with 150 million, and I'm a winner. So this is the market manipulation that this guy, Ronnie Moas, has been saying that some of these bigger players are putting in. And there was some speculation back when the price was around 4,000 in September that's what Jamie Dimon was doing, dropping it down to 3 so he could buy the dip. So be wary of that when you see a lot of this volatility. There's a lot of different reasons. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to zero. It doesn't mean that cryptocurrency is going away. It just means we're going to have to deal with this volatility for the time being until the market matures a little bit more, whenever that is. Okay, last thing, favorite thing, shitcoin of the week. Shitcoin of the week is Ask FM. Now, the concept of Ask FM, it's a Q&A social network where you use the token and get rewarded for good answers. That concept sounds okay. Why it needs its own token, don't know, other than they want to make money. Shouldn't need to run on their own token. But anyway, you know how I feel about ICOs. Why I'm calling it the shitcoin is because they did a PR stunt on Mount Everest. So it's really hard for ICOs to get attention, especially with all the advertising bans on Facebook and Google and all the other search engines ready to do that. So they went up to Everest, and they had some bad weather, and the team got in trouble. They all got down safely. They said everything was fine, but everything was not fine. Their Sherpa died, which they kind of covered up and really didn't say because they wanted the positive press of, oh my goodness, it was terrible and difficult, but we got up there and they took like a few 100,000 of their ICO coins up the top of Everest. So they could have the positive part, but their guy died on this stunt. So we have one confirmed death due to an ICO launch, which to me is shit. So that's the shitcoin of the week. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be on that social network. Blood on their hands, right? Hopefully we have a better week next week as far as casualties and cryptocurrency prices. So that's the roundup this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. I did not bring a cocktail. I promise I will have one right after I finish this recording. So you guys have a nice week. Looking forward to seeing you again for the Crypto Cocktail Hour, and I promise I'll bring a drink next time. Have a nice week. Happy crypto investing.